Just because I bore a striking resemblance to her, I became Edward Johnson's kept woman. The heir to the Johnson empire showered me with affection, lavishing me with every luxury imaginable. But when his ex Sophia Mitchell returned from abroad, I clutched his sleeve with tear-filled eyes. "Ed, please don't go?" He tossed a stack of bills on the table, smirking as he shook off my grip. "Be good, babe. This was always temporary." The moment he turned away, I pocketed the cash. Opening my laptop, I typed the final entry in my case summary. Patient exhibits stable emotional regulation. Bipolar disorder in remission. Treatment concluded. I packed my Louis Vuitton suitcase with the $3 million check from Victoria Johnson already secured in my purse. Golden candlelight flickered across my features as Ed nuzzled my neck, his arms encircling my waist. "Happy birthday, babe. Make a wish." I leaned into his touch, whispering, "I wish we could always." Our phones buzzed simultaneously. The elite gossip chat exploded. Sophia Mitchell's back in town. Ed's jaw tightened as he stared at his screen. When Sophia's caller ID flashed, his thumb hovered before answering. "Ed? My flight just landed. Come get me?" Her crisp contralto contrasted sharply with my practiced breathy tone. He stood abruptly, my tears already welling on cue. "You promised tonight." My fingers trembled against his wrist. He wiped my cheek with calloused fingers, the same hand that later shoved me away. "Don't be difficult." A wad of hundreds hit the marble counter. "She needs me." The slam of the penthouse door still echoed when my tears vanished. Grinning, I counted the cash before documenting today's observations. Subject demonstrated appropriate emotional response to abandonment triggers. Attachment patterns resolved. Everyone knew the story, how Ed had spiraled after Sophia left. The Johnson scion's self-destructive streak became legend, racing Porsches through Malibu canyons, base jumpy off skyscrapers, 3 ER visits in as many months. When the Mitchells' private jet carried Sophia to Paris, Ed's unraveling began. Fresh out of grad school with my psychiatry license, I'd answered Victoria Johnson's discreet posting. The family matriarch's appraisal still chilled me, manicured fingers tilting my chin as she murmured remarkable likeness. Her assistant pressed a black card into my palm. $500,000 up front. Make my son believe you're her. Now Sophia's return signaled mission accomplished. I snapped the suitcase shut, the Rolex Ed gave me last Christmas ticking away our final moments. Somewhere over the Pacific, my Bali villa awaited, along with the real love story I'd crafted far from gilded cages and broken princes. Fresh out of college with lingering idealism, I hesitated. "So, I'm looking for a legitimate job. If you can improve his condition, you'll receive $30 million as final payment. But let's be real, this was the most legitimate gig ever. You've got excellent judgment. I won't let you down." I flashed my most ingratiating smile, pocketed the advance check, and signed the contract. Vicky chuckled approvingly at my compliance. A thick dossier landed in my lap. My greatest strength being thoroughness, I memorized every detail about his first love, Sophia's personality traits, core values, and life story. The Mitchell family's golden girl embodied perfection, ethereal beauty, guileless charm, and that spoiled rich girl haughtiness cultivated since childhood. No wonder Ed remained haunted years after their explosive breakup. To make Ed fall for me, I needed to mirror Sophia without becoming her carbon copy. 60% similarity seemed safe. Ed lived dangerously. Barely discharged from rehab, he went midnight street racing during a thunderstorm. When his brakes failed on Deadman's Curve, his Porsche careened off the cliff, only to be caught mid-plunge by a gnarled oak. I sprinted down the muddy embankment with bothering with an umbrella. Ed sat trapped in the crumpled wreckage, blood masking half his face. My trembling fingers dialed 911. "Stay with me. EMTs are coming." I yelled over the storm, yanking him free seconds before the fuel tank exploded. We tumbled down the slope, my arms shielding his head from debris. "Stay awake. Look at me," I pleaded. His glazed eyes focused with effort, lips forming a name. "Sophia? What?" I pretended not to hear, pressing my hoodie against his bleeding torso. His ice-cold fingers brushed my cheek, smearing tear tracks I hadn't realized were there. Cough. "I'm the one dying. Why, are you crying? You won't die. Help's coming. I'm right here." His cracked laugh startled me as his thumb grazed my eyelashes. "Not even close. The ambulance took us both." When Ed woke, I sat studying hospital bills, my jeans and sweater still caked in dried mud. "You're awake." I feigned surprise. "Doctors say you'll recover fully with rest." He studied me in silence before rasping, "Name your price for saving me." "I don't want anything. Just happened to be there. I fidgeted. But could you repay my medical deposit? It's 3 months' rent money. His eyebrow arched. You'll get reimbursed. Meanwhile, become my temporary caretaker. But I've got part-time, $200,000 per month. The man knew how to negotiate. For $20,000 weekly to heat takeout and push his wheelchair through Central Park. Easiest money I'd ever make. I talk a lot, even chattering about the gossip from elderly neighbors in the hospital courtyard to him. But he remains lukewarm toward me, except when he occasionally zones out staring at my face. When I annoy him, he covers my mouth with his hand. Why do you talk so much? You look. He suddenly falls silent. Unbothered, I gaze at him pitifully. I don't want you to get bored. He turns away awkwardly. After a long pause, he finally mutters, keep going. What happened? Mr. Wong's family? As his recovery nears completion, I mysteriously disappear for an entire day, no texts answered, phone turned off. Edward Johnson finally storms into my rundown apartment, recognizing the takeout bag from the dumpling shop I frequent. The flimsy door gives way to reveal me huddled in a corner, flinching at the noise. I'll pay it back. Please leave me alone. He crouches before me, voice softening. It's Ed. You're safe. My tear-filled eyes meet his before I throw myself into his arms. His body stiffens, but when he feels me trembling, his hand gently pats my back. What happened? Debt collectors. We had to call the police. I'm sorry I missed today. I sniffle. Didn't I give you $200,000? That's for my mom's treatment. Sick mother. Absentee father. Debt-ridden me. The perfect tragic backstory. Clutching his shirt like a lifeline, I let vulnerability wash over me. He traces my cheekbone, mesmerized. Be mine. $1 million monthly. Okay. Got him. Now I'm Ed's kept lover, sweet, gorgeous, and masterfully charming. I need him, adore him, would never leave him. Unlike his distant first love, I'm right here. He spoils me rotten, draping me in designer clothes and jewelry, even transforming from Playboy heir to serious CEO of Johnson Enterprises for my sake. Victoria Johnson keeps sending bonus checks, thrilled her son finally acts responsibly. My only complaint? After nightly activities, I wait till he sleeps to document everything in my case files, mood swings, recovery progress, treatment plans. For 2 years, I meticulously record his daily activities, meals, even smile counts. Professionalism matters. The journal entry for today reads, subject exhibited increased emotional dependency. Physical contact duration extended by 38%. Proposal acceptance indicates phase 3 success. Recommend escalating intimacy parameters. The boss was thrilled with my work ethic. Even so, whenever thing S got intimate with Ed, he'd whisper sweet nothings. Babe, I'm crazy about you. Let's get married, yeah? But I knew my place, replacements always get replaced. The moment Sophia returned would be my golden parachute moment. My phone pinged, interrupting my keyboard clatter. Latest update at no cache no chat, 2 surveillance shots followed. My PI never missed crystal clear images from half a mile away. There was Sophia in her virginal white sundress, looking like she stepped out of a Ralph Lauren ad. Time hadn't touched her. Ed stood yards away in his Tom Ford suit, their gaze locked like star-crossed lovers in some Nicholas Sparks novel. The second photo showed them embracing, Sophia gazing up with doe eyes while Ed smiled that billion-dollar smile reserved for charity galas. Mission accomplished. I retitled my work log exit strategy report, attached the photos, and hit send to my real employer, Vicky. Ma'am, subject's emotional metrics have stabilized. Treatment complete. Her reply came instantly, excellent. Terminate contract tomorrow. Final payment processed. Roger that. The $15,000 birthday cake on my desk became victory dessert. Who needs candles when you're tasting financial freedom? Sleep? Forget it. By dawn, I looked like a raccoon in my N95 and oversized hoodie heading to Johnson Tower. Vicky's Mont Blanc pen hovered over a check with enough zeros to buy a Caribbean island. Stella, you've got real talent. Ever consider corporate security? Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I played dumb. Why work when I can retire? Got a villa in Santorini waiting. Her shoulders relaxed. Lovely. When do you leave? Tomorrow morning. The elevator doors hadn't closed when I froze. There stood Ed, backlit like Satan's personal assistant. My pulse hit Maracas tempo. 2 years of lies hung between us. Thank God for pandemic chic, even my dry cleaner wouldn't recognize this outfit. I pressed against the marble wall, holding my breath until his cologne faded. Freedom never smelled sweeter. Stella Parker? The familiar voice made my sinking heart plummet further. I kept walking, pretending not to hear. His hand clamped around my wrist like a vice. You're ignoring me? Why are you here? Ed forced me to face him, his grip unyielding. My medical mask hid half my face, the dark circles and bloodshot eyes glaringly obvious without makeup. He frowned at my disheveled appearance. Throwing tantrums at my mother's place because I missed your birthday? I just came looking for work, I mumbled, truthfully. The universe could attest I wasn't lying. Ed barked a humorless laugh. My money's not enough? You're still being taken care of. What job could you possibly need? Thanks, but no thanks. Time to bail. When I stayed silent, his tone softened. Go get ready. You're accompanying me to the gala tonight. First ditching me last night, now parading me around. Classic slap and caress maneuver. But professionalism demanded compliance. He paid the bills, and trophy girlfriends should earn their keep. Okay, I nodded obediently. The ballroom revelation hit like champagne to the face. This was Sophia's homecoming celebration. Every head swiveled between us when I entered on Ed's arm, our identical ivory gowns and eerily similar features sparking whispers. Would you look at that, Sophia's carbon copy? Of course young Master Johnson brought the knockoff to spite her. Rumor has it Sophia turned down his confession last night. Pathetic how the placeholder crumples next to the real deal. Former sycophants dropped their masks now that my unemployment loomed. Sophia stood radiant at the center, her flawless composure cracking momentarily when our eyes met. Pure revulsion flashed across her features. Ed, aren't you going to introduce us? She cooed, though her smile didn't reach frosty eyes. This is Stella. My girlfriend. Ed's deliberate pause made her flinch. How careless of you to keep this SECR. E.T., Sophia retorted sweetly, their locked gazes crackling with tension. I became invisible wallpaper between their charged silence. I'll let you catch up, I murmured, slipping free from Ed's grasp. His hand twitched empty as I retreated. The shattering glass came milliseconds before crimson liquid arced toward me. Ed yanked me backward instinctively, wine splattering across marble where my dress should have been. The white dress still ended up stained with red wine. Edward frowned. What happened? I'm so sorry, it was an accident. The waiter frantically apologized. I caught the fleeting look of triumph on Sophia's face and knew there was no escaping tonight's scheme. Her tactics remained predictably crude. Oh dear, how clumsy. Let me help you change, she simpered, yanking me from Ed's embrace with faux concern. When we reached the deserted corridor, her mask slipped. Her palm flew toward my face. I wondered which shameless hussy was trying to climb into Ed's bed. Should have known it'd be you. I caught her wrist mid-swing, smiling calmly. Long time no see, dear sister. Sophia, the bastard child my father Victor conceived a full year before marrying my mother. He'd built his empire with my mother's inheritance, lying about failed investments while funneling millions to his mistress. We pinched pennies, they bathed in champagne. Mom believed his late nights meant hard work, not maintaining a second family. The day his company went public, he paraded his mistress and illegitimate daughter through our front door. The shock made Mom collapse. By the time she regained consciousness, Victor had divorced her with a prenup she never signed, leaving us homeless. I'll never forget that rainy night. Sophia ground her stiletto into my hand, shredding my last silk dress with vindictive glee. What makes you think you deserve anything? This is all mine now, you're just gutter trash. Now she sneered with that same superiority. You're just my stand-in. Ed only keeps you around to make me jealous. The second I say yes to reconciling, you'll be out on the street. Her eyes glittered maliciously. Haven't you heard? He's taking over Johnson Enterprises next week. Our engagement announcement will coincide. You'll be discarded like yesterday's garbage. I released her wrist, smiling faintly. We'll see about that. The orchestra paused as Sophia approached Ed under crystalline chandeliers. Their silhouettes formed a perfect tableau against floor-to-ceiling windows. Fireworks exploded overhead as their lips met, bathing the gasping crowd in kaleidoscopic light. Right on cue, Ed's startled gaze found mine across the room. Perfectly staged in his sightline, I let tears streak my ruined dress, clutching my chest like a heartbroken heroine. A paparazzo's flash immortalized my trembling lip and smudged mascara. I fled through applauding crowds, sobbing so violently my false lashes blew into a potted palm. A concerned valet opened my waiting town car. I'd timed this exit to the second. As the car peeled away, I scrubbed away tear-smeared cosmetics. The final act had played out flawlessly. By dawn, every society blog would feature Ed Johnson's mystery woman heartbroken over rekindled romance. Let the games begin. Girl, you're not actually still hung up on him, are you? Emily Taylor looked at me like I'd grown a second head, handing me a tissue. Do you miss going to work? The only thing I miss is money. I rolled my eyes, tossing the white dress I'd changed out of aside. Shame, I'd only worn it once. Could have sold it secondhand otherwise. Fair. Now that your final payment cleared, shouldn't I get a raise? Obviously. Without you, my resume would have never reached Mrs. Victoria Johnson, let alone gotten me close to Edward Johnson. Let alone collected all that evidence about Victor Mitchell's financial crimes. Used to be an investigative journalist before getting blacklisted for exposing Mitchell Corp's money laundering. When IT racked her down, I promised to cover her mom's medical bills and pay her fees, in exchange for exclusive documentation. Funny how she trusted me, another broke girl, with her life. My mom's stable enough to transfer back to our hometown hospital. These past few years, thanks. Don't. I'd be dead without you. As the car pulled up to the airport, I hauled my luggage out. Sure you can handle everything overseas alone? That's why you'd better wrap things up here fast and come help. This time, I've got funds, nobody's silencing you again. I grinned, waving off her teary goodbye. Before takeoff, my phone buzzed with notifications from Ed Frowny Face. Where are you? She's tipsy. It meant nothing. Don't overreact. It's late. Send me your location, not safe out there. Classic. Minutes after making out with Sophia Mitchell, now he's playing concerned boyfriend. Channeling my inner grateful business partner, I typed, Ed, I know I'm not good enough for you, so I'll step aside. Wishing you happiness. My fingers flew across the screen, crafting that Oscar-worthy breakup text without cracking a smile. Then came my favorite part, block, delete, repeat as his calls flooded in. I powered off my phone, savoring the first-class champagne. The flight turbulence mirrored my restless sleep. Memories resurfaced, getting kicked out at 18, cramming into that moldy studio apartment with mom, her brain cancer diagnosis, begging relatives for loans while working triple shifts. The night debt collectors trashed our place, baseball bats reducing everything to splinters. I didn't lie to Ed about that part. Standing outside the ER with cold takeout containers, I'd watched mom's silhouette plummet from the rooftop. The handmade red bracelet I'd woven for her still clung to her wrist. Her suicide note apologized for being a burden. I didn't cry at the morgue. Didn't scream during the cremation. Just scattered her ashes where the Atlantic wind bit through my jacket, until M materialized like a hurricane and shoved me into the waves. The jolt of icy water still haunted me as the plane touched down. My wealth didn't just come from sugar daddies. Every moment Ed spent learning to run Johnson Enterprises, I studied over his shoulder. His allowance funded my investments, tech startups, green energy, anything with ROI. Turns out I've got a Midas touch. Sophia Mitchell's family might have climbed the corporate ladder through her engagement, but I built mine from scrap metal and spite. This time, the Mitchells wouldn't see me coming. Over the years, I'd accumulated substantial resources. My current plan was to establish a media company overseas for low-profile expansion, safely beyond the reach of both the Johnson and Mitchell families. Being a quick learner had its perks. I'd secured my psychotherapy certification in just 2 weeks. As my startup gradually took shape, I stumbled out of the office past midnight to find 2 viral topics dominating social media: Johnson heir and Mitchell heiress engagement, modern fairy tale union trending runaway Cinderella, ethereal beauty in distress. The first announcement flooded corporate channels, timed perfectly with Edward Ed Johnson's official corporate succession ceremony. The entire internet showered blessings on the power couple. The less conspicuous second trend featured my tearful exit from the gala captured in a grainy side profile shot. My wine-stained gown somehow achieved avant-garde elegance in the blurry image, radiating that perfectly curated damaged beauty aesthetic. I smirked while saving the photo. This would become my iconic life moment. The original post's top comment asked, "Doesn't she look identical to the Mitchell heiress?" They're twins except for the eyes. Both comment and account vanished instantly. Sophia's sudden hypersensitivity surprised me, though I'd anticipated her damage control. Thank God for quick screenshot reflexes. The Johnson PR machine shocked me with its global reach. But who was I to refuse free publicity? By morning, fresh drama erupted. Johnson heir skips own engagement party right on schedule. Came the furious slam of dress shoes against my office lobby tiles. Ed materialized like an avenging angel in his trench coat, complexion storm dark. Our eyes met. I instinctively bolted, but his iron grip pinned me against cold marble. "You played me, Stella." His crimson-rimmed eyes burned as calloused fingers dug into my jaw. My mental gears jammed when he snarled, "I never realized. My own mother paid your social security for 2 full years. 700 fucking daily reports. What was I to you? A paycheck? So the HR department screwed me. Fantastic. Tears welled on cue, dripping onto his trembling hand. Ed, you're hurting me. His grip loosened marginally, voice glacial. Don't. Was any of it real? Avoiding his gaze proved impossible when he forced eye contact, revealing raw vulnerability beneath the rage. The contract didn't include emotional after-sales service, I deflected. You needed a stand-in, I provided therapeutic services. Now you've got your empire and your childhood sweetheart. Why revisit this? His retort died as my phone blared. Right on cue, Stella Parker stared at the incoming call from Sophia Mitchell, deliberately answering it in front of Edward Johnson. Stella, you bitch. Sophia's shrill voice pierced through the speaker. Stella held the phone away from her ear, angling it toward Ed. Was it you? Why do you steal everything? You should have died like your mother. Why didn't those thugs finish you off back then? Ed's pupils constricted, his expression crumbling as the venomous words kept flowing. His idealized first love now revealed her true colors. Stella watched his disillusionment with detached amusement. After prolonged silence, his voice rasped. What did she do to you? The tirade abruptly cut off. Ed? Is that? He ended the call. What did she do? She destroyed my family. Drove my mother to suicide, and tried to kill me. Stella met his stricken gaze calmly, wrenching her wrist free while he stood paralyzed. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? The unspoken answer hung between them. You're busy, Mr. Johnson. No time for sob stories. She gestured toward the distant banquet hall lights. Your guests are waiting. Her draft press release already queued up, ready to dominate tomorrow's headlines. The man who'd arrived as the untouchable heir now looked hollowed out. Stella, I never saw you as her replacement. Of course not. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Every calculated vulnerability, every carefully timed tear, his every heartbeat between clarity and obsession had been choreographed. Soon he'd realize Sophia's arrogance grated where Stella's compliance suit. That his phantom longing during their embraces wasn't for Sophia at all. She left without glancing back. Dawn found her monitoring screens through bloodshot eyes. Right on schedule, Johnson Holdings' statement exploded across financial networks. Johnson family terminates engagement and all partnerships with Mitchell Enterprises. Chaos erupted under Mitchell Corp's official social media posts before their accounts went dark. Stella smashed the publish button, unleashing her army of bot accounts. The knockout punch came hours later, an investigative report bearing Emily Taylor's byline, Mitchell Enterprises implicated in money laundering scheme, millions in unpaid wages linked to illegal operations, identical to the story quashed 6 years ago, but now protected by Phoenix Media's bulletproof encryption. With the Johnsons' withdrawal, the Mitchell empire crumbled within hours, assets frozen, stock prices tanking, Victor Mitchell himself arrested before lunch. Stella watched police cars swarm Mitchell Tower from her penthouse, sipping coffee grown cold. Somewhere across town, Ed was probably still staring at his banned corporate accounts. Finally understanding which puppet master had held the strings all along, the Johnson family shareholders who initially considered interfering immediately fell silent, grateful they'd distanced themselves. Sophia became the most devastated. Her proud family legacy and delusional romance had evaporated overnight. When her phone started vibrating violently on the table, she reacted with surprising speed. I ignored it and blocked her number, simultaneously dropping another bombshell online, the untold story of Vic's rise to power. Compared to financial crimes, juicy elite scandals always captivated the public. The internet exploded overnight. Gold digging his way up then abandoning his family? How despicable. Deadbeat dad, mistress, and love child, the whole trashy package. The Mitchells became prisoners in their own homes as the scandal raged for days. On settlement day, I returned home. I needed to see this collapse firsthand. Em picked me up, animatedly detailing the Mitchells' downfall. You should have seen Sophia groveling before Ed. Crying hysterically, even tried seducing him half-naked before getting thrown out. Vic's selfishness inevitably sacrificed his women. The Johnsons, traditionally risk-averse, strangely kept fueling the scandal despite collateral damage, a marked strategy shift since Ed took control. I knew exactly who orchestrated this. 3 familiar figures awaited at my residence. I paused, coldly observing their desperation. Stella, we're family, Vic pleaded, his polished facade crumbling under recent strains. Destroying us will tarnish your reputation. We severed ties when you threw Mom and me out, I reminded him. Help me now, and I'll reinstate your inheritance. We'll exile those bitches, Victor. You promised, his mistress shrieked before he kicked her down. This whore ruined my marriage. He backhanded Sophia, who stared at me with venomous eyes. Apologize. Her choked sorry made me laugh. I slapped Vic AC. Ross the face. Save your apologies. Hell awaits you all. Later, watching him beg on his knees stirred nothing in me. I locked eyes with Ed across the street. He stood motionless as I turned away without hesitation. The verdict came swiftly: prison for Vic, bankruptcy for Mitchell Holdings, millions in debts dumped on his women. Rain misted the cemetery where I parked. The lavish tombstone with prime feng shui sat empty. Fresh lilies adorned the engraved photo of my smiling mother. Mom, do you see now? Your daughter's become really successful, making tons of money. Rain pattered softly as I sat by the gravestone without an umbrella, murmuring incessantly, I miss you so much. After years of pretending to be fragile and innocent, tears came effortlessly now. Something cold slid down my cheek, whether rain or tears, I couldn't tell. An umbrella suddenly shielded me. The tip of polished leather shoes entered my vision. Looking up, I saw Edward Johnson. I stood to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. You got your revenge. What about me? His bloodshot eyes stared into mine. Stella, you can keep lying, keep using me. I don't care. Let's start over, please? The usually arrogant man bowed his head, speaking with desperate tenderness. No, my decisive answer visibly wounded him. He couldn't comprehend my complete emotional detachment. I never liked Sophia, it's always been you. I realized too late. Give me one chance? I shook off his grip, meeting his gaze steadily. I should be grateful you liked her. Otherwise, I'd never have gotten close to you. Ed wanted to explain he'd never sought any replacement. That he'd fallen for my eyes, so different from Sophia's. Eyes that used to sparkle with laughter reflecting his image. But seeing the glacial indifference in my stare now, all explanations felt meaningless. Because this entire time I'd never cared. Even love could be fabricated. Yet he'd willingly embraced the illusion. As I turned to leave, his broken wisp followed. If I hadn't left on your birthday that year, would things be different? If he'd stayed, if he'd chosen me over Sophia. I didn't look back, my words carving into him. No, how could lies ever lead to happy endings? The rain stopped. Sunlight emerged. I no longer needed shelter. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.